Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of the Articulate Fly, and we're back with another East Tennessee fishing report with Ellis Ward. How you doing, Ellis?
I'm doing well, Marv. How are you?
As always, just trying to stay out of trouble, and early spring continues in East Tennessee.
It does. I was looking out the window this morning, and some of the pink flowers are blooming. We started to see the buds last week, but they're fully flowers now, so pretty cool. Fittingly, March 1st.
Yeah, interesting too, though we were talking about that, it's not translating into epic hatch activity.
Yeah, these rivers in the spring and in the fall, they just go through some transition. They're fed by big lakes. They're part of a bigger ecosystem, and they're influenced by changing, specifically changing temperatures, and that changes oxygen levels. So, number of working theories there, but suffice it to say that we have, our temperatures are both warm and stabilizing, and it's looking, we have a little bit of a warmer pocket right now with some 70-degree days, but just looking at the 3, 5, and 10 day, I'd be surprised to see temperatures below freezing for any number of hours, even middle of the night, until next fall. Save a little cold snap. So if the transition were to be over, I've actually been doing some tying and prepping for the last 2 days, but going out today, and if I were to see what I've been expecting, which is a lot of blue wings and probably trickling in some of the other bugs, it wouldn't surprise me. But especially with all the rainfall, we're queued up for a really healthy and happy spring here.
Yeah, and then have the Lakers basically finished dropping back down to the lake?
Yeah, and the way we fish them is because Boone Lake is 30 feet lower. We're kind of fishing in the lake bottom. The lake, it has started to come back up. So the Tennessee Valley Administration, or the authority, the TVA, is raising lake levels. They started that last week, and definitely still fishable. The really fun part about the first couple weeks of that fishing is that they are post-spawn lake fish. So those two things combined make it, when it gets bitey, those fish, one, have just finished spawning all the way upstream, and two, they're lake fish. They aren't seeing, dozens of guide boats every day for 6 to 8 months out of the year. So they're, said another way, they're unpressured and they're really hungry. That type of fishing is basically over, but spring, just with the biomass in the system and things are, even with this transition and afterwards, there's stuff just starts to move, and then you got the stripers coming up, and it's, we're knocking on the door right now.
Yeah, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that. I have a question for you from James, which I thought was pretty interesting. He wanted to get your thoughts on what you look for when you're fishing slack water stretches on tailwaters.
Sure. First thing I'm looking for is risers. So when I, let's say, drop down into a chute and go through the little riffle or whatever, I'm either putting on the brakes with some back rows or drop an anchor, and I'll just sit there for a few minutes, when it's where it's kind of calm after the riffly water, and look out on the flat. And if I start seeing risers, I'll It's not like I'm going to have some magical idea by looking at the water, but should I be throwing, a 20, or are we looking at tying on a 26? Those risers are generally, especially in that slack water, you can have shots of bigger fish there. It can be really challenging. Those fish, it's like fishing a spring creek. They have so much time to not only investigate your fly, but the number of bugs that they're seeing go by their face, they're really not in a hurry to come up and eat something with a hook on it. So that's the first thing I'm doing. The next thing, and I'll try not to be biased because I kind of know the places I like to fish. Sort of obvious answer, I'm looking for structure. And that can be weed beds out in the middle of the flat, even if it's shallow, even if it's clear. And a lot of these, on these tailwaters, you'll have these weed beds in like the low water level, what I would call the secondary bank when the water's up. And, the fish it's deeper and colder, and those are the cut banks that you really can't see, especially when the water's up. But even when the water's low, those weed beds, that some of them have the tops of the weeds are actually exposed, but it's protected from the sun. It's protected from predators. It's a couple feet deep. And I started smacking weedless soft plastics down on them a couple years ago just to see what was going on. And sure enough, got some evidence that there were fish in there. And I said this last time, a good way to entice them out is to go pretty big. It's typically less of a visual enticing at first. If you have the opportunity to stop and look for any fish cruising or sitting in the lane, it's going to be pretty tough if they're bigger fish in those pieces of slack water. But you can get pretty creative and do some stuff with intermediate floating line, fishing really small crawfish and things of that nature.
Yeah, pretty neat. And folks, we love questions on the articulate fly. You can email them to us. You can DM us on social media. If we use your question, I will send you some articulate fly swag, and you're going to enter a drawing for 2 days of fishing with Ellis and 1 night spending the night at Brownie's Place, Watauga River Lodge. And Ellis, I know because I reposted it on Instagram, you got a batch of bucktails, but they're going fast.
Yeah, the naturals are almost gone, and I had uploaded the dyed, but the categorization on the website, I need to hire someone in IT. It's fixed now, and there's only a handful left. It was a slow year sort of all around, but some real nice ones up there, and I am oddly enough already looking forward to next year.
Yeah, there you go. You can buy all your RIT dye on discount now, right?
Yes.
You want to let folks know where they can find you so they can book in fish with you this season?
Yeah. You can message me on Instagram at Ellis Ward Guides. My website is elliswardflies.com. I'll consolidate those names at some point. And then the easiest way, most direct way to reach me is my cell phone at 513-543-0019.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, listen, folks, it's getting warm. Spring is here, even though it's a little bit early. You owe it yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Ellis.
Appreciate it, Marv.